Hey there, and welcome to episode 22 of the Rugged Angel podcast. How you doing today? Are you enjoying your last bits of summer? It's August, and winter is coming. I know not for a few more months, but depending upon where you live in the country, it could be coming much quicker than others. Have you had a chance to follow me on Twitter at _RuggedAngel? You can also like Rugged Angel Productions on Facebook and follow and subscribe on SoundCloud and iTunes. That's also Rugged Angel Productions, where you can get the stream of 3 of the podcasts that I produce: Down to Watch Podcast, the Scandalized Podcast, and this, the Rugged Angel Podcast. So please rate, like, subscribe, review, etc. It really helps out. If you're in Pittsburgh and you are looking for something to do this weekend, Saturday, August 15th, check out the Rant event, Rock All Night Tour. It's happening in Lawrenceville. This is the 4th annual one. It's an annual outdoor-indoor walking tour concert event. There will be shows from Pittsburgh bands all day long at all different venues. So check them out. Go to their Facebook page, Rant Rock All Night Tour, or you can go to rantpittsburgh.com to check out a full schedule. This episode is with Amanda Waltz. You may know her from her film blog, Steel Cinema. It is basically they cover everything from the local festivals to the drive-in double features that make Pittsburgh a hub for film lovers and filmmakers. She also contributes to Film Stage. She has contributed to the city paper as well as Werewolf Ambulance podcast. Basically, she's one of those people that make you that much cooler just for knowing her. So by proxy, I think I have gained a few cool points. Thanks, Amanda. We had a great conversation about her dairy farm beginnings, dealing with mansplaining and film. There's lots and lots of talk about film, and I guess that's just what happens when you give a couple of film geeks an hour and a mic. So hopefully you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Your words of wisdom: what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. Buddha. Yeah, it would be the wrong thing, and it's like something you just did not want. Well, welcome, Amanda Waltz.
Yes,
correct?
That's just like the dance.
Correct. Thank you for coming
of course.
Joining me on the Rugged Angel podcast.
Yeah.
So, this will be a good thing as to where, we're basically floating around the same industry here, and it'll be nice to get to know you, to get to know each other a
Definitely.
bit. And,
yeah.
So we're just going to talk about you for an hour.
Okay. All right. I guess I can handle that.
Okay.
What do you want to know?
Well, are you born and raised Pittsburgh? Where are you
No.
from? Where are you from originally?
I'm actually from Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Central PA.
Yeah, I have a couple friends from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
geez.
There's Eric Walter and Bernadette Ulsimer.
Oh, Bernadette. I went to high school with Bernadette.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think maybe she's liked some of your posts on Facebook.
Probably.
So that totally makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually did a drama club together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very small world.
Yeah, definitely.
She's pregnant right now.
Yes, she is.
That's crazy.
It's just like, yeah, and it shocked me,
Yeah.
most, you get shocked when your friends are, get pregnant or whatever, but Bernadette, I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
really, just no shade to Bernadette, but it was just like, wow, it's just like, I never in a million years would I have imagined that they were going to, I didn't think they wanted kids, but.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, they've been doing this married thing for 10 plus years, so I guess.
Yeah. I've only seen her. I ran into her once because she was writing for a publication I was writing for.
Okay.
And we said hi, and then that was basically it. I haven't seen her since.
So you were in theater also, you said, in high school? Is that what you said? You guys were in the same...
Yeah,
jump?
we did some theater.
Mm-hmm.
She was in... I did some plays in high school. I did one play in college, and then I just kind of stopped acting after that.
It wasn't something that you wanted to continue at all, or?
Not really. Well, I mean, I intended on studying film when I went to college.
Okay.
So I went to University of Pitt at Greensburg for a couple semesters, and then I transferred to Pitt, Maine, enrolled in their film program. I did some film production, but mostly my focus was on just film analysis, film theory.
Okay.
So I did a lot of, my specialty was sort of Eastern European film. So I took a lot of Russian film.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of Polish film, things like that. that was kind of my focus for a while.
What brought you to that focus? Was there anything?
It was just I just really enjoyed those films.
Really?
Yeah, I took a Russian film course, and the professor was very, very fascinating, and the films were really amazing, and I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with it, and so that was my focus for a while. But I originally, ever since I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a film critic. So
Really?
yeah,
Since you were a kid.
I watched the show The Critic with John Lovitz.
Okay.
And I asked my mom, "What's a film critic?" And she said, "Well, it's people who get paid to write about movies." And I said, "All right, that sounds pretty good."
I can take that. I can do that.
The reality is not so promising. But
So there's always been this interest and love of film from you from a small child.
Oh yeah.
Do you recall like what one of the first films were that you saw that made you want to learn more about the making of film? Or
That's an interesting question. I will say probably the film that has stuck with me the longest, that I've probably watched it 50 times, is Jaws.
Ah.
And it's probably my favorite film.
Really?
Like, even as a kid, I watched it, and I just thought it was... When you're a kid, you want to watch films for kids.
Right.
You want to watch cartoons. But for some reason, that movie I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. And I think that is a movie I think that I can keep watching because it's Spielberg, like, it was his first really big film, and you can tell, he's a film school brat. So
right.
There's a lot of really nice film school aesthetics, but it's also this action thriller with a giant shark. So it's such an interesting movie. But yeah, I will say probably because I was young when the indie film boom started.
Uh-huh.
So I was probably in my early teens when, like Jim Jarmusch and Kevin Smith and
Gotcha.
all those guys were coming into prominence. And I think that was when I started really wanting to learn about film, because I would watch these movies and they weren't it was interesting because I thought, this doesn't look like films that I grew up with. And why are they so popular? And, what is the difference between these films and, obviously studio films.
Right.
And that was when I started getting interested more in it. And yeah, I would say around the late 90s is probably. Fargo was a big one for me.
Yeah, there was a really big boom in the indie film.
Yeah.
It is a real shift.
Yeah.
Happened definitely in movies and in the 90s, and things were getting much more interesting.
Well, it was just the idea that you didn't have to, there are all these people working outside the studio system, and what did that mean for film? Obviously, there was Miramax, and people were still related to that, but yeah, I would say around that time. And Slacker was a big one. That's such a strange movie.
Right, and then it was the all anyone could really talk about for long. If you had any interest in film whatsoever, everybody was talking about Slacker and Gummo. I think was
Gummo, jeez.
that movie. Yeah,
I've tried to sit through it.
I don't understand it at all. I didn't like it. It was just weird to be weird is the way I couldn't feel any sort of what are you really saying here? What's the real narrative of this film? And
it's just ugliness.
Yeah.
Just pure. Yeah. I mean, it's so strange because Harmony Korine went on to direct Spring Breakers, which is such a completely different film.
It is, but that was also just kind of a weird. It was ugly in a different sense. I don't know.
I could see that.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know what I was expecting, but I think I saw it in the theater, and I was immediately sorry that I did.
I can say that about a lot of films.
And it was just it's in the whole James Franco, his thing was, it was funny for about 5 minutes, and then I got real it was just
I think you could say that about James Franco
in general. Yeah, because
it was funny for about 5 minutes. And then
I still haven't really figured out, because he's along the same lines as Shia LaBeouf to me, as to where I can't tell if I can't stand him or if he's a genius and I love what he's doing, and it's just
when that persona blurs a little bit.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I don't think I can't think of any real James Franco movies or performances that I've actually been oh my god, he was great in that. Maybe when he was supposed to be a parody of himself and this is the end.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, yeah, where he was in love with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did enjoy him in Pineapple Express. I thought he was really entertaining in that.
Yeah.
But I like him comedy wise. I think he's palatable.
Yeah, I think I do enjoy him more in a comedic sense as opposed to when he's trying to be a little more serious. I just watched the one with the chubby kid, Jonah Hill.
Oh, Jonah Hill, yeah. Chubby kid. Academy Award nominated chubby kid.
Exactly.
I like that.
And that film wasn't bad. His performance wasn't bad. I don't remember the name of it. True Story.
Yeah, that was such a weird, because I watched the trailer for that, and then it just seemed to disappear, and then it just popped up on streaming.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Because I completely forgot. I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. It sounds like a decent storyline. And then you're right. It just kind of like faded away.
Yeah.
I was like, was it in the theater for like a day, like 48 hours? And then it just like pieced out. And then lo and behold, it's like, oh, I can watch it on demand now.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So
anywho's.
Enough about Franco.
Yeah.
What was high school like for you?
Oh, what was high school like for me?
Yeah.
High school was actually great for me because I went to a very preppy middle school. Bernadette may know, Lycoming Valley Middle School. If you ever asked her about it, it was called Psycho Lyco. If that gives you any.
Psycho Lyco.
Yeah. They called us the Lyco preps, but I was a farm girl. I mean, I literally grew up on a farm.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up in a dairy farm, and I just did not fit in at all.
Was it a private school, or was it just...
It wasn't private, but it was definitely, where I'm from, it's pretty rural, so it was the doctors and the lawyers' kids.
Oh, okay.
So if you were a doctor's kid, it was, there's a lot of connotation that went with that. So I definitely with the doctors and lawyers' kids, and I was very out of place, and... Then and then the way our high school worked was all the middle schools filtered into the high school, Williamsport area high school.
Oh.
And I loved it because it was so big and you were basically just anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I met a lot of great kids. I made a lot more friends who were really cool. And I don't know, I enjoyed it. And like I did a lot, like I said, I did a lot of acting, which I loved. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I hung out with a lot of punks.
Yeah.
But I
could see that about you.
Yeah, thank you. a lot of going to the VFW in the middle of nowhere to see punk boys play their instruments.
So I don't think I've ever actually been to Williamsport, and you said it's really rural. And so what was growing up on a farm like?
Well, I think a lot of people romanticize growing up on a farm. It's not romantic.
Yeah, I don't romanticize that. I feel like it would be difficult. It would be very difficult. A lot of hard work.
It's a working, especially it was a working dairy farm. That's how my family made their living.
Okay.
So there's sort of what they call, I think it's, I don't know, it's like a hobby farm. That's a new term where people have farms, but it's not how they make their living.
Gotcha. It's just like, it'd be cute to have a couple chickens.
Goats. Yeah, like a couple chickens, and I'll grow some corn. Yeah. Which it's not like that, and my dad would always say, oh, people think I'm just sitting on the porch with a hayseed in my mouth, drinking buttermilk, and that's not what it is. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week. It's dirty. Yeah. A lot of gross stuff.
So it was a dairy farm. So you just had a bunch of. How many cows did you have, or was it just a massive amount?
Oh no, I mean no, it wasn't massive. I mean it wasn't like a factory farm where you have like 5,000 cows running around. Like I would say, depending, 60 to 70 cows.
Oh man,
at a time. Yeah,
that's a massive amount to me.
Really?
Like I don't know anything about
farm. Modest amount of cows. Yeah, it was Holsteins. Yeah, we had like 50 to 60 or 60 to 70 at any given time, and then we had the calves, and then we had heifers that are sort of like teen cows, I guess is how you would describe them. We had other animals. Like I was a 4-H kid. So I did a lot of 4-H. I had horses, so I rode horses. I went equestrian for a while. Wow. Yeah, up until I found out I was allergic. So,
like, were you broke out in rashes, or just...
It was very sudden. Well, I always had hay fever.
Okay.
So I always figured, when I go riding, it's because of the hay fever. And then one day I came back from trail riding, and my eyes were swollen shut. And my mom was like, well, I guess that's the end of that.
Do you miss it? Like, did you love it?
You know, it's strange because my dad still rides. My dad actually does rodeo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of people in my family do. My cousin is a rodeo champion.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's really weird. I am nothing like my family. It's very, very strange. My dad still rides, and I actually went. He was out. And my mom went to where he was roping with some friends, and it's called team roping. Mm-hmm. It's basically where like there's two people and you just rope a calf. Okay. And it's a timed event, so it's like whoever ropes the calf faster is. Well, I shouldn't say calf because it's an older cow, but anyway, I won't get into the details. So we went out, and my dad asked me to like just kind of warm his horse up, which, you know, just kind of ride him around the arena. And I thought, I haven't ridden in 15 years, but I'm sure it'll just be like riding a bike. It is not like riding a bike.
Oh God.
I got on and I was very uncomfortable. So it's I think after that I realized like I really don't miss it. Yeah. So
you're like, nah, we're good. We had our time.
And horse people are very strange. Like, it's a culture. It's sort of like dog shows. Like, okay. You know, dog show people.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a specific type of personality to get involved in that, along with, you know, like toddlers and tiaras, that kind of thing.
Oh, it is. Like it is.
Baby beauty pageants.
It is. Horse people are a very specific kind of. And there's a lot of like infighting because there's the English writing people, but then there's the Western writing people, and the English writing people hate the Western writing people. And
oh
the
my
Western
God!
People hate the English writing people.
It's like The Outsiders.
It's so weird. And I was the Western. It's almost like white collar versus blue collar. Uh-huh. So
oh my God,
it's very weird. I was like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. You people are weird.
So when did you move to the big city of Pittsburgh?
I moved in officially in, I want to say 2002. Yeah. Probably around that time, yeah. I went to main campus. I'd say 2002, and then I just kind of graduated, I think, in 2005. Like summer. I finished in summer 2005, and just kind of stuck around. I mean, I had this idea that I was gonna move to Toronto at some point and work in the film industry there. Yeah. Which is very unrealistic. Which is very unrealistic. Just because there's a lot of people thought like, oh, I can go do that. Right. And, yeah, it just doesn't work out that way. Yeah. So I just kind of stuck around. I tried, I interned for the city paper. I was their arts and entertainment intern for a while, and then I wrote for a couple other things, and I was working in retail, and just kind of kicking around, trying to figure out how to write professionally. Yeah. And couldn't figure it out. And then I went to Syracuse for a year in 2010. Oh, wow. And I studied at their communication school at Syracuse University. Wow. Yeah, it was an intensive program, so I was only there for a year. Thank goodness. Syracuse is not a fun city.
Oh, really?
No.
I've never been. What is your degree in?
It's in arts journalism, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
It's technically just a journalism degree, but...
with classes like film theory and things like that.
Yeah, you could basically tailor it to what your needs were. So some of my friends went into music writing. Oh, cool. Some of them went into marketing, but some of them, like I have one of the people who graduated with me. She actually works in PR for Carnegie Hall. Oh, really? So it's basically like you could sort of tailor it to what you wanted to do specifically.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a really awesome program. I was glad I did it, and I met some great people. But Syracuse was. I'm so glad I only because I had friends who were there for 4 years, and they were like, "I can't wait to get out of here."
Well, what did you dislike about it most?
The city's very boring.
Yeah,
it's very, very boring. A lot of snow, lots and lots and lots of snow, for a long time, many months.
It's just dark and
very dark,
dreary,
very bleak,
and boring.
Very boring. If I didn't get free, because a friend of mine who's in the program with me, my friend Shadera, we actually hosted a film review show for the college station, and so we got free movie passes. And if I didn't get free movie passes to go watch as many movies as I wanted to, I think I think I would have gone stir crazy. There's a little bit of The Shining syndrome
Right.
going on. So, I mean, it was just, like I said, the program was great. People were great, but it's just a very unfortunate. Actually, it's funny because a friend of mine who went there, he told me the story because I was like, I don't know what it is. I feel like the city really wants to be exciting for the college students who go here because it's very much a school town.
Gotcha.
A college town. And I was like, but it just doesn't work. And he told me that the Onondaga Indian Nation is in Syracuse or around Syracuse. And he said that there is a story that when Syracuse was first founded, an Onondaga Indian chief put a curse on the city. And
Interesting.
I'm sure that's complete bunk.
Right,
But
but
part of me wants to believe it.
makes you really think about things
It's
like
like-
this. Yeah, that's one of those stories that you want to believe
I
it.
kind of
You're
want to
like,
believe it's a little poltergeisty.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
like I'll buy it. Like, sure, okay,
Yeah.
because that's the only reason that can explain why the city's so fucking boring.
But thankfully, my fiance, he went to Chatham for creative writing.
Okay.
So we got accepted into that program. So we moved back, and we were so happy to move back, and been back ever since. And we just love the city.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has grown a lot, and
Yes.
I came from Toledo, and there's like really nothing
Oh yeah.
going on. There was nothing going on in
Yeah.
Toledo, and like '98, and so Pittsburgh was like New York to me from coming from where I was.
Same for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was just like, oh my god. But then I was here for a few years and had thoughts of that I was going to move out to Arizona
Oh okay.
after I
Yeah.
graduated. Didn't work out, but I'm glad because things like the Pittsburgh art scene is just growing and growing and
Yeah.
growing, and there's so much happening, and I love the
Yeah.
redevelopment of all these different neighborhoods.
Oh my.
And
Yeah.
the only time I really hate Pittsburgh is in the winter. Like that's
I feel like there was a time when, well, actually no, because when my first winter here, and I was in Greensburg, it's not like I came from a faraway place. It was only
Right.
45 minutes out of the city, but the first winter here, it was the first time they had to close the school or cancel all the classes in I think like 50 years.
Oh,
because
man.
the weather was so unbearable.
oh my god.
I remember walking because I was I don't know if you're familiar with the way it's laid out, but I was in Forbes Hall.
Yeah.
Which is pretty far from campus.
Yeah.
It's a good 15-20 minute walk.
Yeah, that's a good hike.
It's a good hike, and I just remember walking to class and it's blistering cold, and my face would just hurt. Like I
Oh.
would get cold headaches.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really bad winter. But
Yeah, but I guess the good with the bad. I don't know. It's
we get 60 good days a year?
I think
6
so.
sunny days?
Something like that, yeah.
Something crazy.
And it's like, yeah, and even if it weren't, it's the fact that because I have to be somewhere in the snow. Like, I wouldn't mind, if I worked from home full time.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be great. That'd be no problem. I have no problems. I can find things to do inside my home. I don't need to.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's just the fact that, you have to feel like you need to be somewhere and do
Yeah.
things to be productive.
Yeah.
So when did you start Steel City or Steel Cinema?
Still
Blog?
cinema, yeah.
Yes.
Believe you're not the only one who's done that. A lot of
I
people
wanted,
do that.
and there's so many things. There's so many Steel City everything in this
Yeah.
town. So
Well, do you know Chris Matthews? Still
think
City
so.
Secret Cinema.
yeah.
He changed it to 412 Cinema.
Oh, did he?
Or 412 Film, something like that.
Okay.
Because he was just like, it's too confusing.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
There's yeah.
Because people would always confuse us.
Right.
Because they would be like, "Oh, I know who you are," and I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're confusing me with the other guy?" But yeah, I did a podcast with him, and what was I gonna say? Shoot. Oh, I started Steel Cinema a little over 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I tried a couple blog ideas, and nothing seemed to really work out. I was just trying to find something, and I had a personal blog where I would just kind of write about film and TV news, just random stuff that I would find in the press release circuit.
Gotcha.
So, and I did that, and nothing really, it didn't get a lot of hits, and then I did this. I remember very distinctly, I did a post on Halloween events and film events in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And it got crazy hits.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, people really want to read about film in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
just in general. And so I started Steel Cinema. I think my first post was on the Pittsburgh Arts, or the Three Rivers Arts Festival,
Okay.
because they have film events for that.
Mm.
And it just kind of took off from there, and I've been doing it. I try to post at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do more indie film. I do a lot of film events, but I'd like to cover more of the indie filmmakers who are around here. So I try not to focus too much on the big film productions, because I feel like
they got it.
Yeah,
They're good. Yeah,
they're good.
Exactly. No, that's a great idea to focusing on more of the indie folks and like just the up and coming filmmakers, because there are a plenty of them here in Pittsburgh.
I'm happy that people are making films around here. It's just one of those things where, and it's I think when I look at a lot of the publications around here, like a lot of the newspapers and the Pittsburgh City Paper, not to be critical of them, but it's, when you want to look up a film event, it's like in the listing section, it's under other.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that. Yeah, that's kind of a poor structure.
Yeah, and they have a film section, but it's one of those things where there's a lot of events and stuff going on here,
right?
And to focus, I think, specifically on that it's people are really interested in it.
Yeah, definitely, because it's just coming. It's getting to a point in time where people are trying to figure out more and more ways or reasons to go to the movie theater, to leave their house and go to the movie theater.
Yes.
And I know I myself, I am, I do that also. It's just like, why won't I just wait until it just comes on? Or why can't I just pop in the DVD? And it's always like the events that are circling around it. Like Row House is doing the Clueless tonight, I think, with like the fashion show.
Yeah.
I cannot go, which I'm kind of bummed about, but
I know.
But
well, I was actually going to go. One of the guys I covered, Jake Mulliken, he made a zombie film out in Venango County, and his film just got picked up for national release, and through Gravitas Ventures, and he's actually having a release party at Spirit Lodge.
Oh, nice!
But I actually have another podcast after this.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I write for another film site called The Film Stage.
Oh, okay.
So
yes, I know that site.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah,
oh,
Film
good.
Stage. Yeah.
Yeah. I do. I write film reviews for them. And
cool.
I do their podcast as well.
Awesome.
So,
yes, I've definitely seen the podcast. I don't know. I may have listened to one or two or something. For whatever reason, I knew.
Yeah.
I knew about that. I didn't realize it was local. It was here though, or
no, it's not.
It's
well,
just,
it's
you do your own podcast for the website.
I call in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do through Skype.
Right.
Which is quality wise can sometimes be a little iffy, but
yeah. But sometimes it's fine.
But it's fine. I mean, it's based out of New York City. So it's they can cover all the like Tribeca and those festivals out there, and so I'm actually covering. I've covered a couple films for Fantasia Fest, which is
Sounds familiar.
It's a festival that they specialize in sort of genre cinema, like horror, fantasy, sci-fi.
Huh.
Yeah. So and they have some really interesting films that come out of that.
Where is that?
I forget. I want to say it's in Canada.
Yeah. Have you gone out to Tribeca Fest at all?
I've never been to Tribeca. I have been to Toronto International Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a lot of... I mean, it's basically the city just shuts down for it. It is.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. The city is TIFF.
Right.
Yeah, basically, which is... It's amazing. I mean, it's really exciting to be there when it's happening.
Huh.
But yeah.
Have you been out to South by Southwest yet at all?
No.
I keep wanting to go out to that, and it always like sneaks up on. Like I know it's in March every year, but it's like that end of the year, and then you get through Christmas, and then the beginning of the year business, and it's like shit, I totally forgot that this is happening at the beginning of the year.
It does sneak up on you. It really does.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same way because I really wanted to go back to Toronto International, and I always, like, around the same time, I think it's September, and every year I'm like, oh, crap. That's right. It's starting again.
So, hopefully I'll get out there one of these times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been very interested in the whole film critique.
Really?
Yeah, as I think that was kind of one of the things that I wanted to get involved in when I decided to get involved in film.
Yeah.
What I had gone to, when I came to the Art Institute, I just wanted to edit movie trailers.
Oh, wow.
That was my big goal.
It's an art.
That's
It really
all I
is.
want to do. And I to this day, like, I still love editing. And I don't
Really?
I don't get to do it as much.
Oh, yeah.
But just because I don't like shooting. So
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody plays their part.
Yeah.
Like, I went to, when I studied production, I really wanted to go into cinematography, which I found out is probably one of the most difficult and
oh my God, it's gotta be.
all-encompassing roles you could possibly do, and I just was not.
It's like, oh, feels like I'm not cut out for this.
It is. Well, I mean, when I went to filmmakers too, I went when they were still doing celluloid. Their focus wasn't on digital as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think right after I graduated, they started to transition more into the digital realm, and I think if I had been there when they were focused more on digital, I think I would have been a little more disciplined about it.
Yeah.
But with celluloid, it's so hard.
Yeah, I did take a few actual like film classes, and that is very.
At Melwood?
No, at our institute.
Oh, Art Institute. That's right.
And learned how to edit, how to splice film, and everything like that, which was. I was like even more in love with it at that point, just getting hands on and in there.
So fun.
Yeah, it's such a great. I don't know, it's just an art, and I just really enjoyed it. And and so I where we were was like we had a couple of like film classes, and then we were still doing linear editing.
Yeah.
And like the beta tapes and this, that, or the other, and then like I think maybe like as I was graduating, when we started to get into the more non-linear Avid or Premiere, I think were the two that we were working on.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
it's tough if you're not. And for me, I did the way the film classes worked was you did 8mm, and then you did 16mm, and then you worked your way up to 35mm. And by the time you got up to 35mm, it was like, this is very expensive.
Yeah.
I don't really have a vision. I
Right.
don't have like an ultimate film, like a masterpiece I would make, and I just kind of stopped after that.
Like I have no opus. I just.
I actually would love to do storyboards.
Oh yeah.
That's my.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you a good drawer?
No.
Do you...
Terrible. Horrible.
Really?
Because in my high school you could take take film classes.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get to the film classes, though, you first had to take the visual art classes.
Okay.
And I think I was one of the few people who almost failed because I literally couldn't draw.
Oh man.
Like shading for me, shadowing is impossible.
Really?
To me, someone who can draw, it's like magic.
Right.
If you can draw something that looks good,
Looks like it's supposed to look. You're just
how
like,
did you do that?
you sorcerer! What are you doing?
It's that part of my brain. Something happened to it. I cannot. It is pathetic how bad of an artist I am. For me, it would be like, I don't know if you've ever seen American Splendor with Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
When he's doing like, cause he writes the comic books, and then he's trying to like depict like how he wants each panel to look, and it's just stick figures.
Yes.
Like, that's basically me. That would basically be me.
And then he's really happy over here.
It's like a smiley face and like 2 dots for eyes.
Then they're in love and a heart.
It's just like, here's an extreme close-up. It's just a circle to someone's face. Yeah, it's really bad.
So do you have a day job, or
yes?
What do you do if you don't?
I actually do. I'm a technical specialist and audio engineer.
Really?
For a major corporation.
Really?
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been doing that for 3 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it? You love it?
I do. I can't say I enjoy it. It's a very cushy job.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's why. I mean, it is enjoyable. I would say that my job is probably the most artistic job in the company. But saying that, I can do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's actually I could because it's audio. Of course, I could do it with my eyes closed. But yeah, I should say I could do it in my sleep. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's like so mechanical for me.
Yeah.
That and I'm pretty much the only one who does it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what I do is I create surveys for Medicare customers.
Oh, okay.
So they can, it's basically, you would get a call every 6 months saying, oh, are you still using your CPAP equipment? And you'd say, like, yes. And they'd be like, oh, are you still blah, blah, blah? Then you'd say, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, I guess.
So it's not stressful for you?
Not really. It's getting a little, there's some office politics going on right now.
It's always office politics that get in the way. I was like, can't we just come here and do our flipping job and just leave? Like, we don't have to like each other.
Why are you making this more difficult? You could seriously come in, not say anything.
Right.
Go home. That's it. Why do you want to?
Exactly. We don't need to be besties. It's
no.
Like, it's.
That's the thing. Oh, the people who are like friends at work and outside of work. Nope.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and I've only ever really been able to do that with maybe one, maybe two people in my life, and even then, it took a long time for it to happen. It's like, all right, we can be totally cool here, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to chill with you outside of work yet.
It always blows up in your face too.
Yeah.
Well, at least for me, it does.
No, there's been
blows up in my face.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where it's like, you think that you're totally cool and you guys are on the same wavelength, and then all of a sudden they, I don't know, stab you in the back, they freak out about something, and it's just like what?
And they think they can say something to you at work because it's like, oh, we're
right.
friends, so I can say this to you. It's like, no, you can't.
No,
I can potentially go to HR for you.
Yeah,
because you
absolutely
said this to me.
not. Not okay.
Yeah, I actually had a situation like that recently where it was just like, it was so bad.
Ugh. So, do you find it difficult to? It sounds like that it's not really difficult for you to find time to do your blog and then do your podcasts.
I do
and
work. I work on my blog at work.
Same thing a lot. Yeah, and my job too. There's like,
I work on writing at work. That's all I do. Everyone's like, oh wow, you're doing such a great job and everything's so, I get stuff done so quickly and so ahead of schedule that it's basically like, well, I have 6 days to just do whatever I want.
Right.
That's really, so I think that's why I haven't like moved on to something else yet.
Yes, but when you get into a situation like that where where like you can get your regular job, you get your JOB done in the allotted amount of time, and it's like, okay, I've got this free time and nobody's going to bother me. Pretty
much.
And I'll just go ahead and do my own stuff.
And when they do, you got to act real stressed about it.
Like, oh my God.
Man, I probably can't get that to you till Monday.
It's like, so sorry.
I love doing that. Because like I said, I'm the only person who does what I do, and it's like,
to an outsider, yes, it would look like she's probably swamped. Yeah, she's the only one doing it.
They do act like that. It's fantastic. She has a master's degree. Don't bother her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there anything professionally that you haven't done yet that you want to accomplish still?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would actually like to transition my blog into a website.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest. That's my big goal. I think just for now. Because it is. I was actually talking to somebody about this last night. Because I think people assume that because it's not a print publication, and because I don't have overhead, I don't have employees or anything, that, oh yeah, you can totally just like make it into a website and there you go, it's done. It's like, no, it's
really
a lot of websites have failed because of that reason. Most of them I have worked for.
Wow.
So, yes.
Gotcha.
yes. So yeah, that's my big thing, because I think you have to kind of create a base, a readership. Yeah. Which is kind of what I'm doing now over the past couple of years. And so yeah, if anybody wants to work on a website, I will pay.
You hear it, folks. Web designers. Steel Cinema is looking for web designers.
I will pay.
And they're paying.
She's
paying. That's not something you get all the time.
No, I will pay you to help me out with this. It is, it's something that I just, like WordPress is great. It's kind of limited. It's very limited, especially when you're not when you haven't paid for the service, right? Which I have yet to do. And also, it's I was telling you about my friend, the AP collector. She's kind of like a few steps ahead of me in terms of what she's doing with her blog and her website, and she actually made hers into a nonprofit. Okay. So yeah, she makes money off of it, but of course it goes into the website. I don't know if I would quite want to do that. Go into the nonprofit realm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough when you're trying to like monetize it.
Right.
Trying to make a living off of it.
Exactly. It just seems like a lot more red tape, and you got to be a lot
Yeah.
more careful with what you do.
Definitely.
Because, you know, you've got all eyes on you at that point, you know, people trying to make
Definitely.
sure you're on the up and up, and that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's tough. So we'll see. That'll be my next big thing.
Do you find it difficult being a woman in the film industry?
Ooh. All right.
It's like, no, we're getting somewhere.
All right. It is tough, I guess. Yeah, to be a film writer. It's actually funny that you asked that because I'm the only female film writer on the one website I write for, the Film Stage.
Really?
And it's never felt like, oh, we don't want to work with women. It's never ever felt like that. I think it's just they just didn't have women up until I came around. I think they had like there were a couple other women that maybe contributed a couple reviews. I think one other woman like did a podcast. But it was funny because when I had been with them for a few years and they were like, hey, they've been doing the podcast for like almost the whole time. And they said, hey, do you want to come and speak about 50 Shades of Grey on the podcast? And when I got...
Just because...
I said that. I called them out. I was like, did you guys bring me on here because you were like, we need a woman to come. And Amanda's the only one. We know. But I went on and I was like a hit, I guess.
Oh, really?
And they were like, we loved you. We want you to come back. So I've been doing it since then. And, you know, and I think writing about film, I will say one of the big mansplaining is a thing for sure. Not so much from people I've worked with, because they are totally sensitive to the fact that like, we're not going to tell you, like you know what's up.
Right.
You're an intelligent person. But we did one on Mad Max Fury Road. And I said that that the film was more about anti-patriarchy than actually just like a purely feminist film.
Right.
And somebody on Twitter who had a anime avatar, of course, not to be
judgmental of anime
too judgmental,
avatars.
But when you have like an anime avatar, it's like, oh, here it comes. And they said, oh, really loved your podcast. However, I don't think that you guys know what feminism is. I want to explain it to you. And my one of my co-hosts, he said, hey, why don't you email us? Why don't you email us and let us know? And we'll talk about it on the podcast.
Right.
I don't think that person ever did. Which I would have loved it.
Yeah.
I would have just, oh boy.
That's, yeah, okay.
I was just like, oh.
Yeah, come on. I'm waiting.
Please.
Stab me in, coach. Stab me in, coach.
Please tell me, a woman
right.
with 5 years of liberal arts education, please tell me.
What is feminism?
Please.
You bat your eyelashes. Big strong man. Could you please?
That's probably the biggest. That's probably the one thing that has happened to me. Like the one instance where I've been like, "Oh, jeez, here we go." Like I hear about this.
It's like I didn't think this really existed.
Like, really? Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always kind of interesting to me that I don't think I've ever really like come across anything just like straight up blatant. There will be a lot of like sometimes there'll be some mansplaining or
Yeah.
You know, I get dumped into like a boys club at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know, you find yourself in a control room or on a set somewhere, and it's just like,
I will say it's probably better than sports broadcasting.
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be.
I had a friend, when I went to Syracuse, the woman that I did my film review show, she had wanted to go into sports broadcasting, and she said it is just misogyny. It's just
I'm sure.
Pure, just rampant misogyny.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Stinking up the joint. It's just misogynistic bullshit. I don't. I just really wish that we could get away from that.
But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty good. I think people are very responsive. People are very, very, very supportive, very, very sweet. It's actually strange because a lot of the women that I've met who have positions of power in Pittsburgh are women. I mean, Dawn Keyser is the head of Pittsburgh Film Office. So I think it's just one of those things where Like if it's if it does.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. So pay attention to me. I'm here. That's just funny. Yeah, it is. It is one of those things where, you know, I think if I were in the production end of it, I would probably notice it a lot more. You know, and I've heard stories from around here of, you know, some of my friends who worked in film production who've had experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not too bad. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know. You do hear a couple horror stories here or there, but
yeah.
and it's also, I don't know. I've had some I just have difficulty sometimes as being like the producer for the 48-hour film project.
Yeah, I could see
Or
that.
just with people thinking that they, like dudes specifically, thinking
Yeah.
they can talk to me any kind of way
Yeah, yeah.
or come out the side of their mouth, you know, just like just because I'm a woman, like they don't want to hear my rules, they don't want to abide by my rules, and it's like, wow, okay, this is how it works for everybody, and you
Yeah,
know they want to
exactly.
challenge me, and that's like
It's like, I will disqualify
yeah,
you.
exactly. I have no problems with that whatsoever, disqualifying you and banning you from the competition completely. Because I've done that to one. I've had to do that to one person,
Really?
like 3 years ago or something, 3 or 4 years ago.
Because they just like, I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, and he wanted to be an asshole about it when, you know,
Wow.
I called him out on it, and so it's like, all right, and so I called, you know, headquarters, like, this dude no longer allowed to, you know, participate in Pittsburgh's 48-hour film project, and he's on a list.
I wonder if I know him. I wonder if I know him, because I definitely got harassed a little bit by somebody through Still Cinema.
Really?
This guy, I can't remember his name exactly. He was he had a film in I don't know if you've ever heard of ABC's
Yeah, the ABCs of Death.
ABCs of Death. I don't want to say ABCs of Horror. He had a film submitted for ABCs of Death, and he said, "Hey, you know, I have this film, and I'm from Pittsburgh, and you know, maybe give a shout out to like because I'm a Pittsburgh filmmaker, and this like huge competition. It's like an international competition to get into this anthology." And I said, "Yeah, sure." And then I looked, but there were actually quite a few Western Pennsylvania people.
Oh, really?
Who had films submitted, and I was like, I can't just spotlight one.
Right.
I just can't do that. And so I think I posted something about it on Facebook. I didn't write
A piece on it.
I didn't write a piece on it. And he just harassed me endlessly on my Facebook to the point. And I just was very professional. I said, "Hey, you know, I'm one blog.
Right.
I get maybe 50 hits a day.
And is it
for
just
the most part.
is it just you writing
It's
for your
just
blog?
me. I mean, I've thought about, I actually thought about doing guests, but yeah, it's just me, you know. So, and I said, you know, have you gotten in touch with the other publications around here? Have you gotten in touch with, you know, City Paper, and what have they said to you? And the film was disgusting.
Was it?
It was disgusting.
Oh my god.
Just pure unadulterated torture porn.
Oh,
and
God.
I was like, I don't want to.
It's like I just don't wanna. That's not.
It's like, no, this isn't. It seriously looks like he sat a camera on a table and then people just acted in front of it.
Ugh.
I was like, this is not filmmaking.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
No. Ugh.
It was bad.
And those are always the ones that I feel like have like the biggest set of the biggest nerves.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, I'm sure you can use another word.
yeah, exactly. It's like I caught myself. But
it's all right.
like,
we all know what you meant.
yeah, and yeah, like the ones that are like really like shitty at their craft. They're the ones that got like, yeah, exactly. They got the biggest mouths about it, and they want to like, yeah, and like, how dare you? And I this is excellent.
It's like why are you spotlighting these other filmmakers and not my film? Well, it's because you're garbage. It's because your film is a pile of garbage. That is what. Sorry, I run this podcast. I run this blog. If I want to cover you, I will cover you.
Right. And that's the beauty of it. You work for yourself. You follow your own damn rules. And if you don't want to talk about somebody's trashy torture porn crap, you don't have to.
Yes.
So, what do you do for self-care? Like for you, just for
self-care?
Yes, just for Amanda. What do you do for?
Like when I want to wind down.
Yeah,
and have a
when
nice
you're just
time?
like, you know what, fuck everybody else.
Yeah, that's a good question. I like to play video games.
Awesome. Which video games?
I play a lot of like fantasy RPGs.
Okay.
I actually was playing Dragon Age Inquisition before I came over.
Oh, really?
I hadn't played it in a while. Yeah, I'm big on Dragon Age.
Huh.
I love Elder Scrolls.
Nice.
So, but I actually, my fiance and I will play Borderlands sometimes. So
Yeah, I was just looking longingly at my video games this morning because it's been a long time since I've actually gotten back into it. Like, I used to be able to just get lost for like hours, and I haven't played. Like, I still have even a couple in there that I haven't even unwrapped yet. Like, there's a couple, like Arkham City, I think is in there, and there's like the second Assassin's Creed, and and
it's tough.
yeah, like Hitman, that was my jam for the longest time.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah, I would love to play more. It's something that I played a lot of Sega when I was in middle school. And then I just stopped playing video games altogether. I skipped probably a million, consoles. And then my fiance, when he moved in with me, he brought his Xbox 360, and I was like, I don't play video games. And he's like, you might actually like this Fable. You should try playing it. And I just couldn't stop. I remember one morning I played till almost like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I rediscovered my love.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've played all night. And that was like
Yeah. I would say that, and I do love a good horror movie.
Yeah.
I do love horror movies.
Do you have a favorite horror or like?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm kind of a purist when it comes to horror. I would say horror-wise, favorite horror movie. Jeez, that's a tough one. I actually watched a really, really good one recently. Next of Kin. It's an Australian horror film.
No, I'm thinking of Your Next. No, I didn't say that.
Oh, Your Next is really, really good.
Yeah.
Really
it took me a second viewing to appreciate that. Because the first time I was like, I don't know if this was supposed to be like tongue-in-cheek-ish, like if they realized what they were doing.
Yeah.
But then like, I don't know, the second viewing I really got it. I got a little more into it.
Yeah, it is. I have some friends who do a podcast called Werewolf Ambulance. It's a local podcast, and
I've seen that one. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really fun. And they did a Your Next podcast just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really great. But yeah, I love those guys. Your Next, The Guest, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I put that in my I've been wanting to see that for a while. It's in my Netflix queue, and I think later tonight I'm going to watch that. And I saw your post about mommy, was it Austrian or an Australian movie? Good Night, Mommy. Yeah. Oof. Oh my God.
Can't wait. It looks bananas.
Yes, it looks really crazy.
Yes, I cannot wait. I'm a big because I follow. I mean, I kind of have to just because of the other site I work for. I'm very up on a lot of the films that are coming through the festival circuit and the horror films. I feel like it's going to be a really excellent year for horror films coming up. Yeah, because there's quite a few coming out. Like The Witch is one of them. I'm trying to think of the other one.
It's like they're stepping up the games. Like this is like a resurgence of really good horror films.
Like quality
happening.
Horror. Yeah, definitely. I'm really glad because I was not all about Saw or Hostel or any of those films. I don't know what it was. Like, I really loved the first Saw. It's pretty funny.
Like, that was pretty great. Yeah. And and I just kind of got on board with the whole franchise.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I
never would have expected that.
Yeah, and it's like, and I know, like, some of them were really terrible. And, you know, like, they were just really, but I was on board. Like, I was there, like, opening weekend when they came out.
Really?
Like, yeah, I own them all.
Wow.
And I'm just like, and that's really, like, the only franchise that I've just been about from start to finish.
You know, and I love a good... just gory, like, I don't know if you've ever seen what is it, it's Red versus Dead, Dead Snow.
I think so.
It's very bloody, but it's bloody in like a way of like Evil Dead. It's like a very just like complete ridiculous, just absurd amounts of blood.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. I love torrents of blood.
Yeah.
Just blood spray everywhere.
Yeah, and it's weird because some of like the Saw movies, you're right. Some of them are like just hysterical. It's just like,
I laughed very much.
It's just funny, and those don't frighten me at all. It's it's like those psychological ones, like The Strangers.
Ooh, yeah.
That really just like messes with me in my head, and I love it. It was a great film, and I will watch it ever so often and forget just forget how much it like really fucked with me. Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to need to watch fucking Aladdin or something after this before so I can go to bed. But
it's very rare that I watch it because like the same thing. Like a lot of the horror movies I watch, I'm not necessarily scared by them, or I love a good horror comedy, or just like but I actually watched this one. I reviewed it for the film stage actually, called The Interior. First half I didn't like so much. It's basically like a mumblecore office thing. It wasn't that good. And then it's about this guy who I guess he finds out he's going to die. They never tell you like what his prognosis is, but he just goes off into the Canadian wilderness and becomes a hermit. He just like quits his advertising job and it's sort of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Repulsion, the Roman Polanski film.
No.
It's basically like, the character's going crazy. Like there's no doubt that the things that are going on are like in the character's head.
Gotcha.
But it is unsettling.
Yeah.
And it is like he's basically by himself in the middle of the Canadian wilderness, and there's a couple scenes that just they really got me. Like there's parts where he's like asleep in his tent and you see like someone like poking at him, but there's obviously no one.
Right.
But it's so just thinking about it's like giving me chills.
Have you seen the previews for that? The Visit about the grandparents?
Oh geez, with the M. Night Shyamalan film.
Okay, it's an M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It looked creepy to me until I saw like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. You've gotten me before, sir. Ooh. Never again. No. Never again.
Nope.
Like he had like Sixth Sense. Yes, that was top notch.
I actually enjoyed The Village quite a bit.
Well, The Village, I called it like 10 minutes into the film.
Oh, yeah.
And I was pissed because I called it so early.
Sometimes it can still work. Sometimes you're like, all right, well, we'll see what happens along the way. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, I tried to watch Wayward Pines, that show he developed. I did not like it. My friend loves it, and she's like, just give it a chance. And I'm like, no, I don't have enough hours in the day.
No, I did try to watch it, and really? Because, I was on board for Matt Dillon and Terrence Howard. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right,
let's see what
this is about. And it was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, I don't care anymore about anything that's happening.
Oh, God.
And then like one day, I think maybe I caught up on the rest of them or something. I was like cleaning while they just let them play kind of thing. Yeah. And it was like, oh. And I still don't care. I'm not coming back. Apparently there's going to be a second season.
I heard the finale was a huge disappointment.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm like, I never have to see what this is again. Like you're going to have to like bring Michael Pitt onto this for me to give it.
Gotta do some Hannibal.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Hannibal. Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Boy. Fantastic. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. And I'm really disappointed that it's been canceled. And I was also disappointed when Michael Pitt did not return for this season as
not to say
Mason.
The new guy,
He's not so bad, but I am like
bad.
in love with Michael Pitt. Like,
I've heard he's notoriously very hard to work with.
And it doesn't surprise me. It seems about right.
And it sucks because it's like, I almost feel like the best actors are the ones who nobody wants to work with because they're a pain in the ass.
Exactly. They've got some sort of vision or something already in their head.
Like Marlon Brando, I think, is a big one.
Right. And, or he went into it and he was like, oh, I've never done this type of character before. And he's like, all right, I've done it. I don't want to do it anymore. So...
Yeah, he was so fantastic. I love that show so much.
Yeah. It's so good. And just like, oh my God, just the visuals of it, just the cinematography. I think this last season, like there were a couple episodes that maybe they probably had like 2 pages of dialogue in it. Like most of it is just like this beautiful imagery.
I remember my we were watching it and my fiance went up to go do something in the kitchen. And he heard it come back on, and he's like, "Oh no, He's like, "I'm probably just missing extreme close up on a really cool thing." And he walked in, and it was exactly what he
extreme close ups of blood trickling over crystal with piano keys playing.
And it is just like Brian Fuller. Because I know he did Pushing Daisies, which I wasn't that crazy about that show. But, this is just like a whole nother level. And it's one of those things where when I first heard that Hannibal, they were doing a TV adaptation of it, I was not.
Right.
I was not thinking it would be anything worthwhile.
Right.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah, they surprised the hell out of me because, like how many times what different way can we reimagine this story? Like we've already seen there were 4 sequels.
Yeah.
I think there were like Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, Red Dragon, and there was I think
Manhunter.
Yeah.
Manhunter was
Okay,
the
so
first.
there was another one. I think something like Young
think Red
Hannibal
Dragon?
or something.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like it was very. I don't think many people saw it, as I think
Yeah.
it was like Hannibal's
Like
origin story.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
and it wasn't like to look at it it didn't feel like it was part of the rest of the movies. And I know, like I don't remember what it was. I had the book and I read the book, and it was a really good book.
It is yeah, the movies. I mean, I actually recently watched Manhunter and loved it because that was the first. I think that was the first adaptation.
Right.
And I really like that. I like Silence of the Lambs. I'm okay with it. I mean, it's a different variation. I saw Hannibal the movie. Very, very strange.
I didn't like the movie very much. I didn't like it at all, and I was disappointed because Gary Oldman. He's one of my favorite actors. It's like, oh yeah, this will be awesome. And then it was just really weird, and I don't like Julianne Moore so much.
Oh really?
She puts me to sleep. I don't know what it is about her.
I could see that.
It's just
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have somehow gotten. All right, so we're gonna take a break.
Okay.
We've just been talking about films and whatnot, which is cool. I could talk about movies all day.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back and do your top 5. And I'm also going to ask you a random question from this book.
Ooh. Okay.
You are listening to the Rugged Angel podcast, where our goal is to highlight women with a story to tell who live out loud or are challenging themselves on the regular. The Rugged Angel podcast is part of the Rugged Angel Productions Network. Please check out our pop culture podcast, Down to Watch, and our podcast dedicated to the Shonda Rhimes hit TV show Scandal, the Scandalized podcast. All can be found at RuggedAngel.com or under Rugged Angel Productions on SoundCloud and iTunes. Now let's finish this show. Alright, we are back, and we are going to get into the top 5. And yours is top 5 movies filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And I have also made a list.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We'll probably have some overlaps.
Probably.
Okay,
Professor,
baby.
I think, made a list too. I don't
Professor.
know. Okay, so give me your list.
All right, so I will say number 5 would be She's Out of My League, which...
I haven't seen that one.
It's not the greatest film, but they really, I think, made good use of some Pittsburgh locations. I think there's a scene filmed in the Thunderbird.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. The Pittsburgh airport is, of course, like a huge in that movie. Yeah, there's a lot of great, wonderful, just like, if you're... I know Pittsburgh loves Pittsburgh.
Right.
And I think She's Out of My League is definitely a good
It's
good
a
movie
Pittsburgh
for that.
film.
It is. And it is funny. It's a sweet movie. I love Jay Baruchel. I think he's just a sweetheart. It's a very sweet movie. And it's just like a fun movie to watch. Like, I think it is streaming right now. I'm pretty
is
sure.
it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the case, then I'll check it out.
Yeah. Should I keep going?
Yep.
Or are we doing? Okay. I would say Dawn of the Dead is probably my number 4. It's not my favorite zombie movie. It doesn't scare me. I know a lot of people love Dawn of the Dead, and they're like so crazy about it.
Did you see it when you were young, or was it when you were more?
Well, no, not really. I probably didn't really. I mean, I watched it when I was a teen, and then I had to watch it because I took. We actually watched it for film classes when I was at Pitt.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a really, I think, very important film in terms of the horror genre. And of course, Monroeville Mall is such a huge player.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see. Like, there used to be an ice rink in Monroeville Mall, and there used to be a weird store,
That's
apparently,
so crazy.
with the animal heads. Which apparently that was not a real store.
Oh, okay.
There's the scene where they go into the gun store, and it's like this weird African safari.
Yes.
Apparently that was not a real store. They just made it up.
Oh, okay. So they thought that needed to be in the...
I was like... It was like, we can't just have a gun store. We have to have like a crazy theme for it. But yeah, Patton Oswalt, I went to see him when he came one year, and he was talking.
Funny.
Yeah, oh man, he was talking about when he was so excited to go to Monroeville Mall.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, I thought it was gonna be like Dawn of the Dead," and it's like, of course
No,
it's not.
it's like
There's,
what, like 50 years later.
he was like, it was really great to go, but I was expecting to see the ice rink and everything. But yeah, it's just one of those movies where I think a lot of people make pilgrimages here to go to the mall and to just see where it was filmed. And I think that's really cool. And it is, I mean, it is a very subversive film. Which I like.
I'm surprised that they haven't tried to keep some aspect of Monroeville Mall.
They actually did recently.
They?
Yeah, there's a footbridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, then I thought they were auctioning that off or something.
Oh, you mean like in the mall?
Yeah.
It was in the mall up until recently. And they actually are going to move it, I think, to the Heinz History Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's where they're moving it. But they were auctioning some stuff because there's that, I think it's the Living Dead Museum. Mm-hmm. I think they acquired a lot of stuff from when Monroeville was renovating and stuff, and they got a lot of stuff. I think they have like the elevator.
Really?
Yeah, it's very like specific.
Do they do any sort of like tours?
Yeah, they do. They're out in Evans City. They were somewhere. I think they were in the mall, and they just couldn't afford the rent, so they moved out to Evans City.
Oh,
and
okay.
they do a Living Dead Fest every year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Pittsburgh loves their movie.
We're so proud. Like I said, Pittsburgh loves Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I mean, and hey, if you're the zombie capital of the world,
right?
Embrace it. I will say number 3 for me is Dark Knight Rises. It is just a great film. Yeah. I've rewatched it a couple times and it definitely holds up. I love Bane. Love him as Bane. Just ridiculous.
And do we love Bane or do we love Tom Hardy?
I love him. I love it all.
No, the whole damn Tom Bane Hardy. Thomas Bane Hardy.
Tom effing Bane Hardy. Yeah, he's so fantastic in that role, and I love the character. I love the way that they. I'm not a comic book nerd by any means. But I know that in the past Bane in film has been sort of not well portrayed.
I don't think I've ever seen Bane portrayed in film at all. I don't think I knew anything about it.
Yeah.
Or cared until I was like, oh, Tom Hardy's going to be playing.
Yeah. He's actually Bane actually is featured very, very briefly in one of, I think it's the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What was that, Batman and Robin?
Yeah, with the what is he?
He's Dr. Freeze or Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Bane is in that for like a second.
Really?
At the end, yeah. And he's just a big, stupid, dumb. Which apparently Bane was not at all. That's not the character.
Huh.
Yeah. It is. It's so, and I think like just seeing Heinz, and it was just like a Pittsburgh. Like the mayor was in it, and you had the Steelers, and there's just like you can see
the scene in the stadium.
Just oh god, so beautifully filmed, so just like amazing. And it is like people sat in the 90-degree heat,
right?
Like having to pretend it was winter.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It just shows you like the dedication. Like people were just like, yeah, we want this to represent our city.
Right. We're in the Batman movie.
And it's just so cool to see like this huge movie that is, there's so many like great shots of Pittsburgh and and I just remember when it was filming here, and I have like good memories of that. Seeing the bat tank.
Right. Wasn't that also
sitting in Oakland?
Yes, that was amazing.
You would drive by and it's like there's a bat tank. I don't know if that was really what it was, but I always called it the bat tank. Just kind of sitting there,
right,
hanging out next to the Cathedral of Learning.
It was awesome.
It was just such a and it was one of those things where like I remember my fiance would be driving back from work, and traffic would actually be shut down a little bit because of filming.
Yeah, and
he's like, I don't mind.
Right.
I don't mind.
There were a couple times when I think I was going through Oakland and I got stopped because I think they were filming the scene on the stairs, the fight scene on the stairs.
Yeah, that was it.
I had gotten stopped there, and there was a time I was downtown and I was like coming from someplace and I was trying to get to my car in the garage. In the garage, and I was like stopped. So like I had to stop because they were. It's like, and I didn't care. I was busy. I was on the lookout for Oldman.
Mm-hmm. So great. So yeah, that's another big one. Adventureland is probably number 2 for me. Adventureland is just a great movie in general.
It's fun.
Yeah, when I went to see it, I thought it was gonna be like a wacky summer comedy. And it actually really isn't. It's a pretty like, I mean, it's not to say that it isn't funny, but it's a very different tone than I was expecting. Kennywood features just beautifully in it.
Yeah.
And I think they really took advantage of some of, when you can see the furnace from that one cliffside on I'm trying to remember the scene. It was the scene where they're sitting in those sort of like abandoned like little cars, and they're smoking pot and they're just sort of talking, and then in the background you can see the mill and you can see the smoke billowing, and it was just so it was just such a beautiful sort of like effective scene.
Pittsburgh does photograph well.
It does photograph fantastically well. And just seeing and the bridges, people love the bridges. Lots and lots of bridges and tunnels. So and I just think that is I just think that they did an amazing job with I think just in terms of like enjoying the film in general and just seeing how they integrated the city. I think they did a wonderful job. And I'm gonna say Night of the Living Dead is probably number one, which is probably such a given.
Solid.
I'm gonna be predictable. It's a great. I actually watched that when I watched it when I was a teen. Had no idea it was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Absolutely no clue. And I really enjoyed it when I was a kid, and I've watched it multiple times since then, just because we've watched it in film classes at Pitt.
Right.
I actually watched the riff tracks of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is, I don't know, people were like, I couldn't do that. I feel like
sullying the good name.
But it is like, when you watch it with the riff tracks, you do notice like, oh yeah, there's some bad acting in this movie.
Well, I don't think I've seen it in my adulthood. I'm pretty sure I saw it in like junior high, but I don't think I've watched it since.
It does. You get some different perspective. It's bleak. I mean, it is bleak as hell at the end. But it's just so it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, Night of the Living Dead. It's seminal work. But then when you watch it with Rip Chat, you're like, let's be realistic. There's some bad stuff. And even like Romero himself will say like, oh yeah, that looks like shit.
Yeah.
Like, he will say. I mean, you have to think like it's a very low budget film.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And I mean, call it like you say, it is what it is, man. Like that's your thing,
but it worked, man.
Yes, it's got a cult like following. Like seriously, these people are nuts for that movie.
Horror fans are a special breed.
Oh my god, yes, they are.
Yeah.
They definitely are. And like, I like my horror.
Yeah.
And I think I prefer it most of the time to like a lot of comedy sometimes. But
oh yeah,
I don't know that I'm that level of like
I've been to horror conventions and I'm like, I know I'm not that
right. Yeah, like
I'm
Horror
not.
Realm over in the South Hills, I think is where it usually happens.
Yeah, they're usually over there, and that I can't remember what the hotel is.
But those people I like. No, I am like novice in comparison. They're like trading and buying and selling like all these like vintage this and that and exclusive copies of this. And I'm like, I was like, I don't know what these people are. I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, and I'm big in movie posters. I love movie poster art. Yeah, so I always love like a good horror movie poster.
Yeah. I really enjoy what they're doing now with this minimalist movie poster art.
Oh yeah.
This new craze that's kind of happening now, and I even noticed that there's a studio, or I don't know if it's just with Target, but they're re-releasing a lot of movies with the minimalist artwork on the cover, like the Blues Brothers or the Big Lebowski.
Oh, yeah.
And there's even like some of the other ones, like Chronicles of Riddick. They're doing more of a cartoon, more graphic novel type artwork on their covers.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, I mean it's pretty cool.
It's gone through a new wave, I think, which I love.
Well, another like reason to make people want to buy the physical copy of the DVD, because we're now
Criterion does a lot with that too.
Yeah, because we're now in like the download age where no one's really buying. But I like actual DVDs still.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I just don't, because I feel weird like paying $20 for something that I don't have in my hands.
Like in the cloud.
Right. Yes.
It's out there somewhere. I know it is. I believe it.
I want to hold it. I want to touch it. I want to see it in my hands.
Well, there's a part of you that is like, I want people to come over and look at my stuff.
Yeah, there's also that too. It's like, look how cool.
Yeah.
Look at my taste in film.
Yeah.
Don't look at that bottom shelf.
Yeah, I have some weird ones.
All right, so my list consists of Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
And before I moved to Pittsburgh, I kind of went on a kick of watching a bunch of movies that were made in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And like Striking Distance and
we were talking about Striking Distance.
Sudden Impact, I think, and like stuff like that.
Oh, with the penguin.
Yeah, I think it was like, or is that Jean Claude? I don't remember.
That's John.
But
oh no, is it Steven Seagal? Oh, geez.
it may have been.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, and
anyway,
Silence of the Lambs was one of them, and I don't think I had realized that it was made in Pittsburgh at that point. Wonder Boys. Because
oh, jeez, I forgot about Wonder Boys.
Yeah, I mean it was really good. I enjoyed it, but I also that was when I got to meet Robert Downey Jr. and I was like an extra on the film.
No way.
Yeah, you can probably like there's a scene where Michael Douglas, Tobey Maguire, I think Robert are at a table in a bar.
Oh,
and I think Katie Holmes is there too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was a waitress, or supposed to be the waitress in there, and like dropping off, but like there was so much hurry up and wait that I didn't come back the second day. So it's quite possible that, maybe it's just like you see like my ass, like the lower half of me or something, just because I couldn't do it again. I couldn't. It was such a long day. And
that's the thing about filming, is that filmmaking, I think that was another thing about filmmaking where I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't just sit around all day
right
to set up.
Yes, that's why I don't particularly care for actual production. Like I love pre and post, but like actually being on set is like just it drives me crazy. It's just way too much, like just sitting around and doing nothing.
Oh yeah.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Okay.
Now I know a lot of people had like, I didn't even know that movie was a book. I didn't know that book existed until the movie came to film here, and it was like all these people were talking about how much of a big deal it was to them in their lives. And I read it, and I can understand how if I had read it at 16,
it's YA. I think,
yeah,
right?
maybe it would have hit me a little more. At home. But I really liked the movie. I thought the actors in there were really good. There was a lot. I love the scene where they're coming out of the tunnel, the Fort Pitt tunnel, and they, because that's kind of like, that was my first impression of Pittsburgh when I moved here.
Yeah.
It was like, you're just coming around that bend, and there's nothing really exciting. You come through the tunnel, and it's like, bam, like city.
So wonderful.
And it's just crazy, and I enjoy that so much. And there's also a nice little scene, like, they're at a dance, and they're dancing to Come On, Eileen.
Aww.
And it's just really cute. Like the one boy, the lead boy, is like just kind of getting into it. He's not really into it. And then the way the camera slowly creeps up on him, and he's like, finally he lets it loose. And it's just, that just makes my heart warm when I see that.
Yeah. I think Hollywood Theater also features pretty prominently.
Yeah, I was actually on the board at the time.
Oh, cool.
That was being filmed, and the screening here, I think they screened it at the Hollywood, and Stephen Chbosky came, and like he was a super cool guy. He was really nice to like everybody that was there, and like all these, and I'm watching all these kids like come up to him, and like, young adults, or maybe I just come up and like tell him these sob stories about how his book saved their lives or gave them such like a deeper perspective, and it's just, it was really touching to see that, like how much that impacted so many people, and something I never even heard of before. Warrior, speaking of Tom Hardy.
Jeez. Man, I'm forgetting a lot.
And I just realized I just really like boxing movies. Because
that is a movie.
But that is such a good film.
Yeah.
Like it was very well done, and and I enjoy watching Tom Hardy just do just about anything, really.
I mean, just with him and, is it Joe or Edgerton?
I forget what the guy's name is.
I always forget his name.
Because I always remember him from, he was in Smoking Aces with Jeremy Piven.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, just like a kind of a throwaway character, because he was like he was like the dumb Russian bodyguard for Jeremy Piven, and that's the first thing that I'd ever seen him in, and that's what always comes to my mind when I see him.
I haven't watched that movie in so long.
Joel Edgerton. You're right.
Yeah. It's like him and Nick Nolte and Tom Hardy, I think, were just, and then of course like the national song at the end, and everybody weeps.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that was I really enjoy that film.
Yeah.
And Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, that is an excellent Batman film.
Mm-hmm.
The only I love the second one more, the one with the Joker.
Oh yeah.
I forget what that one was called. Is that
I think it's just called The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight? Yeah. But and Bane was a great addition, and I loved watching. I guess I don't know. Like I'm not a really big. I didn't read a lot of comic books either, so I'm assuming that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is supposed to be Robin or something in that.
That was definitely the assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Tom Hardy came up with the voice of Bane. Like he found some rando guy on YouTube or something, and like he was teaching something. He was like, I think Bane should talk like this guy.
Well, it's funny because like Christopher Nolan didn't really want him for the part.
Really?
And he said, "Well, you're very handsome. You wouldn't want your face covered, right?" And Tom Hardy was like, "No."
It's like, I'm an actor.
I want to do this.
I'm a professional. I didn't want his face covered, but he looked. He was so big.
Oh, so amazing. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I adore him. I think he's wonderful.
Yeah, he's just a great actor. I enjoy watching him, and he's also funny. Like I've seen him do some comedic stuff, like some movie with maybe Chris Pine.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
This Means
about.
War.
Yeah.
So funny. All right, so we're going to get into this random question.
Okay.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay.
Which would be easiest for you to become addicted to?
Oh jeez.
Money, success, power, sex, alcohol, drugs, work, or TV?
Oh wow, that's a lot. I would say work or TV. I think it would be between work and TV, actually, weirdly enough.
I think they kind of blend together for you.
I do, yeah. I would actually say TV a little bit, because I was a TV kid.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of TV growing up.
Binge watching before binge watching was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing, too. I was definitely a TV kid.
And not even stuff I wanted to watch. If it was on TV, I would watch it.
Yeah, like, we would go through those periods where we didn't have cable, or then when we do have cable, and then, when we had, like, HBO, like the summer that, Romancing the Stone would be on, like, every other, or, like,
oh my God.
Like, Red Sonja or Red Dawn or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've seen those movies numerous times just because they were on. And I would watch them.
Oh, there's movies. I was actually talking about a movie last night that I was like, I have watched this movie multiple times. I have no idea why. I think it was just because it happened to be on HBO when I was like 15, and I was like, shit, it's on. Might as well watch it. It was Bebe's Kids.
Oh my God.
I have probably seen that movie 5 times, and I do not like it. I do not think it's a good movie.
Oh my God.
But I was like, well, I don't know. I'm home from school. I guess I'll watch Bebe's Kids because it's on.
That's not a good movie.
It's a terrible movie. It's not funny. It's horrible.
Holy shit.
So I would have to say TV, because there's definitely points, like today we were catching up on Amy Schumer, and like I was like, oh, you want to watch, we watched 2 episodes, and I was like, you want to watch another one? Watch another one? And my fiance was like, I just can't look at the TV anymore. And I would say TV.
I will be here then. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's very simple. Like I could definitely see myself like when I letting a whole day go by, just like watching.
Oh yeah.
Whatever is on.
Such a pacifier. I mean, for a long time for me, I think it was just like a pacifier, like just sitting. And now it's like I can kind of work while I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like on my laptop. And Kitchen Nightmare is another one.
I love Kitchen Nightmares.
I know. I can watch Kitchen Nightmare like all day long, and it's really bad. I will say I do hit a wall. Mm-hmm. I will hit a wall where I'm like, I have to get up and move around. I'm getting like stir crazy.
Right.
There's definitely been times where like my fiance and I have sat and watched like 5 hours worth of Supernatural.
I just started watching that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh geez.
I think I'm like almost done with the first season.
We mainlined it for a good, I would say we finished, 9 seasons in like 6 months.
Oh really?
Yeah. We would watch like 5 episodes a day.
Oh my God.
It was terrible.
That is a lot.
It was bad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the only time where he was like made an exception for like sitting and like, being glued to the television for that long. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, and there are times when I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't know why I'm watching this.
Yeah.
This isn't fun. Or I'm like, I realize that I have like been sitting there and haven't even been paying attention to what's going on the TV for like the last 15 minutes, and I'll have to like rewind it. And,
yeah,
it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Oh, well, where can the people find you, your blog, and all that jazz?
Steel Cinema is on WordPress.
You can just Google Steel Cinema?
Yeah, Steel Cinema. Be careful because this is a funny story. I won't take too much more time, but my fiance, when I launched the site, he thought it was a website. He didn't think it was a blog.
So you just put in steelcity.com or Steel Cinema.
Yeah. I do have the domain. I don't know why I haven't used it yet. But so I launched it and I said, "Hey, I launched my blog today." He's like, "That's great." He's like, "I'm going to look it up." So I come home and he was like, "I need to show you something." So apparently there is a site called Steel Cinema that is a website that is it is called Punished Heroin Porn.
What?
Yes. Yes.
What does that even mean?
It is like insane.
Punished heroin porn.
It is basic. It looks like someone filmed it in their garage. It is not explicit. It is women wearing like literally like stuff you could get at like the Spirit Halloween store, like the most generic looking superhero costumes, like Wonder Woman costume. Or like Supergirl costume.
Heroin, not heroin.
Not heroin, like not the needle heroin, not heroin porn. Sorry. Punished heroin porn is basically like, and it's basically these women like, "Hey, you stop," and it'll be a guy in like a really cheesy like Hamburglar robber costume, and then she'll pretend, and it's like really, really, really bad stage punching, like and then the guy will like overcome her, and then she'll overcome him, and that's the end.
Oh my god!
And it is, and I'm like, oh my god. I have to change.
So why is it called Steel Cinema?
I have no idea.
Oh my god!
I mean, people buy these movies. They look terrible. They are made in someone's garage.
Can you imagine if you turned into a nonprofit and then somebody Googled that?
Oh no!
That's what I'm
like
talking
I've
about.
warned people in the past, and I don't know what's I think my domain name was like Steel Cinema PGH. I have to use it, but like I was just like, oh no, what do I tell people?
That's awful.
So I'm always like, it's on WordPress. Don't
right,
just look at
WordPress. Oh my god.
So you can find me anyway. Long story short, you can find me on Steel Cinema at WordPress. You can also find Steel Cinema on Twitter. It's Steel Cinema PGH. And you can also find me on Facebook.
Awesome.
If you want to follow me personally, I'm at Media Waltz.
Media Waltz?
Media Waltz, yes.
Nice.
WALTZ. So yeah.
Cool beans. Well, thank you.
Thank you
for talking with me. I enjoyed getting to know you.
I enjoyed getting to know you as well.
And
I know.
We'll be doing, in the future, we're going to be doing a podcast. And we're going to be talking about Ryan Gosling.
Yes, Murder by Numbers, I think
yes.
is my movie.
That is your movie.
I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I definitely have to as well. Well, all right, cool. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
This has been a Rugged Angel production.